Welcome to the video, everyone. Thanks very much for joining me. I've been MIA for the last 4 days. Right, I haven't posted a video, but we've put something quite special together for this one. So we're going to be looking at how much money do you need to start with Amazon FBA, and more specifically, is it possible to start and invest in Amazon FBA with just £1,000. So I'm going to break down some examples for you. I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you yes or no yet. You'll have to watch the video to see whether or not it's possible. So I hope you find it useful. It's Wednesday today, so I've been spending the morning working on some student emails. We've got some amazing products which are being launched over the next few months, which I'm very excited to be promoting and helping students with. I'm also looking at a launch of my own, so I'm going to keep that one under wraps just for a little bit longer, but exciting times. So I hope you find it useful. Please comment below, like the video, as always, appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Welcome to the video, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you find this video useful. I'm sure you will. We are going to be looking at an interesting topic, something that is talked about a lot amongst the Amazon FBA community, a question I get asked very frequently from people who are inquiring about FBA, and that's, can you start Amazon FBA with £1,000? So before we jump in, it's been an exciting week, just some progressions. We've seen some new products launched by students that have done really, really well in their initial sort of first phase. I'm planning on launching a product this year, mid-year, possibly before. And I've made some significant headway with that process as well. So very exciting times. We have 2 new members of the 10K Elites Club. So I'll be posting these out this week to students who've achieved or surpassed their first £10,000 on Amazon. So it's just an achievement award, just to show recognition of the results that they're getting now and the hard work that they put in at the beginning stages, and now obviously enjoying the fruits of their labor. So exciting times. Now I've changed room. I know. Check out the photo or oil painting by myself. It's actually Venice. Joking, it's not by me, but it is a hand-painted photo of a canal somewhere in Venice. So yeah, I am going to be addressing this question today. So it's a common question. The reason that it's common is because when you are considering launching on Amazon, especially if it's your first launch, you want to err on the side of caution, right? You're probably thinking, well, I want to minimize the risk here. I want to invest, the least amount possible, but to yield the highest reward or the highest gain from that investment. And remember, it is an investment. You're not spending £1,000 on something and blowing it. You're investing it in product which you'll sell at a profit. So £1,000. Have I seen anyone launch with that sum of money? Yes. I have students who've launched with £1,000, students who've launched with less than £1,000. I have students who've launched with £2,000 and even moving up to £3,000. Again, it's dependent on the circumstances of the student, what their disposable income is, the type of product that they launch, and even the amount of units that they're intending on purchasing. Obviously, all those variables contribute towards the overall cost. But the answer is yes. And I'm going to break down in this video some examples and actually do some product research with you guys and show you how this is achievable and sort of what you can expect with an investment such as this. We'll be looking at the ROI for some examples, so that's the return on investment for a particular example that I'm giving. Now, you're all, if you're watching this video, you're interested in FBA. You're either selling on Amazon and you're trying to upskill and learn more, which is great. I do the same thing. I read a lot. I watch a lot of content online and read a lot online. It's always good to develop in an area that you're trying to specialize in. So let's jump straight into this one. Now, if we look here, now you will find with this business model, you might think it's common sense, but a lot of people don't realize this is obviously the main cost. The main investment at the beginning, right, or ever, is going to be the cost of the product itself, right? So the inventory that you're buying. This is an inventory-based business. We're basically buying and selling for more, right? It's quite simple. We buy a product, we make a considerable markup on it, and then we brand it. We basically upmarket that product and make it the perceived value much higher than what you purchased the product for, and then we sell it for a profit. So it's fairly straightforward business model if we're looking at it in that basic way. Now, the first investment that you make is going to be taken up the funds that you're investing and mainly be taken up by the inventory itself. So that's the product that you're intending on buying and then selling, right? Quite easy. So we refer to that as stock or inventory, and we've got some examples below. So if we look at the first example, now the amount of units that you buy depends on a few variables, mainly the price of the product that you're selling and how many units does it sell per month on Amazon, which we use Jungle Scout to establish, and various other ways as well that you can use. So I've used two examples here because, again, I've had students who launch with 200 units. Say, for example, if their product is a slightly higher priced item and it sells slightly less in terms of volume every month, but obviously it's more money because you're selling the product for more. Also, students who've launched cheaper products that sell for slightly cheaper, we can see here 9 to 14, but then they've purchased far more units because obviously they're cheaper to buy. So we've got two examples. So hopefully we can, you can fall into one of these categories or somewhere in the middle. Now, first example, 200 units, typical order for your first product. Now, we're looking at the landed cost here, right? So £4 per unit. The landed cost includes everything. So VAT, duty, everything, the landed cost per unit. So if you think I'm not factoring those parts in, we put it in already. So that's just the term that we use for a product that's arrived and all the costs have been considered. So a £4 per unit landing cost. Now, 200 times 4 is £800. So your initial spend on inventory, okay, landed to get them into the UK, arrived in an Amazon FBA warehouse, they're in the warehouse, is £800. So you can see here, we're under the £1,000 threshold. We're under the £1,000 threshold here. Now, we'll touch on example 2 as well, just to actually give you shed some light on the second example. So 500 units at £1.50 per unit, as working in a different range to the first example, we have a spend of £750. So we can see here, 80% and 75% of our initial investment has been used up on inventory. Hence why, at the beginning I explained that that's generally where most of your cash is invested into at the start. Now, let's look at what we can expect from this. So if we do everything right, and when I say do everything right, that encompasses a lot. There's a tremendous amount to consider with Amazon FBA, strategies, methods, particular ways of doing things to maximize your chances of the product doing well. Now, if you know what they are, you've got a very, very good chance of making the product work. But you'll understand this when you start learning. And if you've been, mixing up sort of different approaches from YouTube, you might have a rough idea of how it all works. But we're going to assume you know. Now, if we move down to the third slide, right, we're going to look at what we can expect. And you're probably thinking, switch off, too many numbers there. I'll break them down. Don't worry. We'll look at it in a very easy to digest manner, so you can make notes if you like. Now, this is example 1. So we're going to stick to example 1 for now. So if we look at the first example here, and we can see this is the first example corresponding to this section here. That's why I put these cool little circles with the arrows in, so you know which one I was referring to. So £20 is what our sale price would be, typically for an item that we purchase for £4. So, I usually like to use a 4 or 5 times multiple for what I sell the item. So just a basic rule of thumb to multiply your item, your unit cost by 4 and sell it for 4 times the amount, which is achievable. Sometimes it creeps down to 3, other times you can get 5 times the amount, and I've seen more than that. So we're going to go with this example of £20 for the first example. Now, if you sell those 200 units that you've bought, remember, with the first example, you spent £800 on that inventory. So 200 units is what they're live on Amazon. You've got 200 units in stock, but you're selling them for £20. So the yield on that investment, so the total return in total, before we deduct any costs, is £4,000. If we were to just sell them all, that would be the total revenue of those units, which you can see straight away, it's significant, right? 4,000, well, I only put 800 in, there's 4,000 there. Okay, this is starting to look attractive. So it's not as simple as that. So we've got costs for selling on Amazon. which we factor in when we're doing our product research to make sure that we've got a profit margin or a healthy return on investment. So let's break them down here. If we look at this first example of £4,000, which is your total yield, so let's deduct from this the fees that we need to consider. So the first fee is the cost of the units, right? You've already paid £800. You're minus £800 at this point. You've paid £800. So we have to consider that amount when we're working out the return on investment. So if we deduct £800 for the cost of the units you've already spent, now £600, take a guess what that will be. That is the Amazon referral fee. So depending on what category you're selling on Amazon for a particular product, they will take a percentage cut of every sale. Now, typically this tends to be between sort of 12 and 15%. We're going to go higher end at 15% for the example, right? We're going to be overly cautious. So £600 of those. Remember, we've sold 200 units, so they're going to take of that £4,000 revenue. They're going to take £600 in referral fees for those units. £400 will be the FBA fee. Now, I've used a figure of £2 per unit. So the FBA fee is what makes this whole business model, among a lot of other things, what makes it so amazing. The Amazon store, they take the order, they pick, they pack, and they ship it and deal with returns, meaning you can do this from your laptop, whether you're doing it in the evenings, on the weekends, even at work. If you're, procrastinating or wanting to skive off. But that is an example of a product that is, reasonably light. I don't like to look at FBA fees that are much higher than sort of £2 unless we've got a quite a high profit margin. So £2 per unit at 200 units. So that's for the FBA fulfillment by Amazon fee, which you're charged for storing and using their fulfillment services. We've got a £400 figure there. So at the moment, we can see that we've got the £4,000 yield from the units, deduct from that the cost of the units you paid, the landed cost, £600 for referral fees to Amazon, £400 for the fulfillment service that you use to do all this passively. So you use their logistical network and their fulfillment centers to fulfill all of your orders. Now, I've included £100 here for PPC. We could up this amount. It could be more than that. We could be looking at £200 for PPC. We could be looking at less. It depends on how aggressive you are and the category that you're in, how competitive the keywords are, and what your bid strategy is. But we're going to go with £100. And PPC is Amazon's internal advertising. So it basically enables you to throw your product to the top of the search results and show it to the millions of eyeballs that are browsing the platform every day. Now, I've got other videos on PPC as well. If you want to take a look and learn a little bit more about that, I've got some videos that look at the basic sort of elements of that. Now, what you're left over with, so profit at the end, £2,100 in profit. So you see, it's not this figure of revenue is not what it is. It's £2,100, which is extremely healthy. So bear in mind now, that means that you've got your £800 back. That's back in your pocket. But you can't look at that as profit because you've already spent it. But you've got your £800 back. And you've also made £2,100 on top of the initial investment. Now, that actually works out at a 262% ROI. I won't go into how that's calculated, but that's a very healthy return on investment. It's basically slightly less than 3 times what you initially invested. So, 800 times 3 is 2,400, and we see we're a little bit less than that, so it's 262% ROI. Now, let me move me over here for a second. So, if we look, actually no, I don't like that. We're going to go to the top. So, if we look at the second example here, we can see that it's slightly different, okay? Now, this is because we've got a higher amount of units that we're working with, so the figures are changing. So if we look at the second example of £10, now again, that figure, I've based that figure on research that I've done, and again, the sort of rule of thumb of multiplying the amount you've paid for the unit by 4 or 5, we can creep up to the £10 sale price. So if we look at this example, you've got a yield of £5,000. Now, we'll whiz through this bottom bit because it's exactly the same. We've got deduct from that £5,000 in revenue that you get through your Amazon Seller Central, the landed cost of the product, your referral fee, your FBA fee, which is slightly higher because we've got 500 units that we're shipping instead of 200, and the PPC bill. And we've got £2,400 in profit on top of the initial 750 that you invested. So 750 back in the pocket and 2,500, and that's a 320% ROI. Now, remember with this business model, guys, this is not just spending money, and I don't encourage anyone to look at it as spending money. It can be appealing at the beginning, right? You see money coming into your Amazon FBA account, and you just want to go and spend it on nice things. But the best approach, and the approach that I found that has been strategic approach that has been most effective with students, is to reinvest your money into stock and new products. Because remember, if you could multiply this process in a year's time by 10, so you're doing 10 orders at the same time, or even five orders we'll look at, this is going to be nearly over £10,000 in profit from those 5 orders, assuming they did the same thing. If you understand how it works at the stage you're launching 2, 3, 4, 5. So by taking money out of the business at the beginning, it massively affects how much you make in the future. So I always like to say, take as little out as you can, maybe a couple of £100 every month if you have to. Other than that, reinvest everything and scale the business up. Because whether you've got 1 product or 10 products, there's not much work, there's not much difference in the level or amount of work you've got to do. Remember, because they're all stored externally and they're all fulfilled by Amazon, you just manage the listings, 5 listings or 1 listing. Once it's done, it's done. So we can see these examples here. Now, I don't want to just leave it at this. I want to actually jump into some software and show you an example of a product that we can launch, right, that fits into this sort of category. So again, we're going to look at the first one to begin with. So 200 units, and I said sell for 16 to 24. So let's get straight into this, and I'm going to give you an example. So let's select some categories. Now, this is a product database that we're utilizing. It's a Jungle Scout software. I work with Jungle Scout quite closely. They're very they're a very good company, ethical company, and they've got some sophisticated software that will find you products that do well. So we can select the categories here. So we're going to select multiple categories. These are the different categories that products fall into on Amazon. So we're going to go those 2. We're going to go baby products. Let's have a look at some lighting, pet supplies, sports and outdoors, stationery, office and supplies, toys and games, and we're going to go FBA. Now remember, the minimum price £16, maximum price 24, based on that example that we just looked at. Yeah, looking at this, 16 and 24 pounds. So we want to look for FBA products rather than FBM. Now, minimum sales, let's just look at 200 minimum sales per month, units, and the maximum reviews of 105. So we want to see products that have got quite low reviews and that are easy to compete with. So let's flick the search button and take a look at what the results that pop up are. Right, so let's whiz down. This is off the cuff, so let's have a look at something that looks launchable. Okay, so this product here, this is a food flask container. Okay, so the sale price is £16.97, so almost £17. So within the region that we're looking at, it's doing nearly £7,000 in revenue every single month. Now, if we look at the example of a 50% profit margin of the PowerPoint example, that's about £3,500 in profit. So again, it's light in weight, which is good. It's only got 91 reviews, so less than 105 that we selected. And like I said, that is significant. That's a significant amount of revenue for a product like this. Now, all we would do now is we've got, again, this is just, I'm going to whiz through this. We found a product. So let's go on to Alibaba and we'll take a look, and we're going to type in food flasks. That's what we called it. So we're looking at a food flask container. So food flask, and we're importing from China, cheap. You get good quality products from China. People have got this image in their head that products aren't good. But honestly, the quality of products that I've seen come from China are incredible. My own and students. So dispel that myth. So if we look at this, we won't look at that one, that's sponsored. So let's scroll down and let's have a look at a food flask container that's floating around here. So food flask, right, straight away. Now we can see the purchase price of this item is around £2 to £2.50. Now, back to our example, right? What did we assume that the product would be? So back to the example. Now, we said that it would be £4 per unit landed, which fits in quite nicely with this. because if we were to have about £2.50 cost of the unit, or £2 plus all the fees to get it landed in the UK, we're looking at about the £4 mark. So again, we've just sourced a product there. We know it's profitable, it's got less than 100 reviews, it's doing nearly £7,000 a month in revenue. We found a food flask. You'd need to do branding and a lot of work around this flask to make sure that it matched the quality of the listing and lots of other things, differentiate and create a USP. But in short, we can see here that this fits the bill. It corresponds with the example. The cost of the unit that you're buying fits. The sale price also fits, because that's the criteria that we set in the web app to find for us. So this will be a product. We could look at that example using the example here, and this could be the flask. So you buy 200 units, it costs you £4 to get them landed in the UK. You do sell them for £17, as we've seen from the example, and this would be a rough guide to what you would expect to yield from that product. So again, we could do exactly the same, and feel free to go and do the same with the second example. I have got a discount link for the web app, so if you would like that, simply send me an email at info@amazonsupremacy.com. Every little bit helps, right? I can save you a little bit on your purchase if you do want to invest in the web app. So I hope you found this video useful. I will be putting lots more content out as usual, and have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one.